Hi everyone. So I thought I would just do a video that just gives you an overview after 5 years in business and many hires, freelance hires in that time, what I feel like is a good strategy for you. So this is based on the individual approach as to where you are in your business. So I've been freelance, like my entire career pretty much. So since 2008. But I've been running my business like a business since 2017. And then there was a sizable shift in 2020 when I just refocused some investment in technology that could take me to the next level online. So that technology is called Podia. I would highly recommend it. Let me know if you would like any sort of link for that, and I can hook you up with that. Anyway, one of the things that coaches always teach is don't wait too long to hire. So there's this kind of balance between you feeling like business is going really, really well, and you also feeling like, okay, like how much of it do I hand over? So it's really interesting on the energetics because we need to feel safe in someone's company to be able to hand something over. We also need to feel safe financially. So we need to feel like our business supports us to make that decision. So I started incrementally because I didn't feel safe. So I've done a lot of healing work over the years. I've been working with a therapist for 18 months and feeling safe and all the feelings of feeling safe and not feeling safe and the whole dance was because I've had a very precarious freelance career. I've been the main earner in the household for the last 10 years and my nervous system was just sort of spent. So for me, the right approach was to hire cautiously and for the hire to be able to see me have some return. So that was what felt good to me. That's not my advice to you. My advice to you is to feel into any blocks that you've got around hiring, anything that you feel. So there could be some perfectionist stuff coming up. So it's like, well, if I've not got an accountant, a VA, an online business manager, an illustrator, an admin assistant, all of the things, then I haven't got a proper business. You should be able to do all of the roles within your business. It is you steering the ship. You are the CEO, you are the admin, you are the engagement professional, you are the content creator, all of that stuff, because you need to hold the vision. So for me, getting in the trenches and actually holding the vision whilst doing the work was a really great way to learn and a really great way to become more expert in certain things. So one of my mentors, Leonie Dawson, talked about hiring out on copywriting. So this was one of the things that I was going to hire out on relatively recently as well. So I wanted to hire out on this because I was like, this is the magic bullet. If somebody writes a sales page really well, people will buy things, I'll be able to support them. But the missing link was it wouldn't have been embodied copy because it wasn't coming from me. So when Leonie was talking about it and talking about getting better at writing sales copy, I was like, okay, like this is a journey. Like I'm going to be better at writing sales copy. Now, there are professionals who are amazing at this stuff, who will be very sensitive to your tone of voice and the way that you do things. But for me, that was an easy skill set to kind of work within and try and improve myself. One of the big breakthroughs that I had was in a coaching container where the coach suggested that we tracked our time. So this is something that I do periodically now, a couple of times a year. And when you actually track your time, you realize how long you're spending on certain tasks, and you wouldn't believe the things that come out of that exercise. So you might be tempted to skip it and say, oh, yeah, like I know what I'm spending my time doing. Um, you don't. You really don't. And it's so, so important to do that exercise. One of the things that came out for me was that at the time, when I did this time tracking exercise this time last year, I was spending a lot of time on Substack. So because I teach Substack, obviously it makes sense for me to be there. But through the time tracking exercise, I actually realized if I just close the Substack tab and program my week around the posts that I wanted to put out or the live calls or whatever else that I wanted to do, it was going to save me time feeling that I had to be tethered and plugged into that platform. And that freed up some space and time to do other things like work on my email funnels, for example, which was something that I was putting off. So when I first hired somebody, I hired somebody for Pinterest, and it was somebody that I'd met and I trusted, and we'd done a class together. She was great. So she had a real eye for the design side of Pinterest, and Pinterest was generating leads for me. So generating email addresses into my ecosystem. people were coming in and paying for products as part of the work that I was paying her to do on Pinterest. So for me, that was a no-brainer to put energy into that platform. At that time, I'd researched a lot of different ways to bring people into the ecosystem. So I'd thought about ads, I'd thought about Pinterest, I'd thought about YouTube. I was really thinking about the search engine-based places and like where discoverability was good. So because I know that I'm not a natural content creator, like I'll do it for a little bit and then maybe I'll fall out of line with it and do something else. I'll be passionate about a project over here. I really wanted something that was consistently drip feeding my ecosystem. So Pinterest has been that for me. So that is carrying on. Sophie's no longer working with me because she's busy with some personal stuff, but I've got somebody else that I've just hired and she's going to do a few more hours on Pinterest. So that's cool. So the language around what people are searching on Pinterest, I've been able to gather all the data to see how well my pins have done and then reflect that back to Cassandra to say, look, like this seems to be what people are clicking on. This is what's working here. So let's focus in these areas. And then for me, it's really about keeping an eye on that. So as long as that's generating leads, then those leads might buy from me straight away, but they're more likely to just hang out in my ecosystem for a little bit longer, maybe buy from me after 6 months or a year, and that's cool. So that feels like that's all going and that's all good. And then the other people that I've hired along the way have been to support through busy periods. So when I was launching my book last year, I've got an engagement assistant, Mika, who's brilliant. And I asked her if she could support with an online summit. So she was doing a lot of the admin behind the scenes. She was also doing some of the engagement. So just as herself, so that authentic connection, I would say to people, Mika's here too. She's supporting me with the project. I am here, but there's a lot of you. There's like 1,500 people. So I needed that support. Now, that wasn't bringing any money into my business, but I wanted the event to be a success because for me, that was about profile raising at the time and having people buy my book. And then obviously from the book, that would lean them into buying other products and services for me. So that was money well invested. I soon started to feel that there was kind of bits of things going on and I didn't really know how to have hold of it all. I knew that I had different types of clients coming to me. I'd done all of the work with coaches around my office suite and working all that through, but I still felt like this is a lot to hold. And I was building up my YouTube presence for leads as well. So I decided to work with an OBM, online business manager. It was really difficult to find Taryn. She's amazing. I had a few sort of mismatches where people tried to treat me like a corporate client, and I'm like a one-woman show, right? So, we can, in business, we could have like a 5K month, we could have a 25K month, but it's all got to kind of balance at the end of the year. And I'm still learning to feel really safe in the container of some months being quieter than others. And so when people come at you and they're like, okay, like it's a 6 month minimum sign up, and you're feeling like that expansive feeling of like, maybe this is going to change everything and I'll just pay the money. I would say don't do that because you've still got to go through all of the process of learning what you need to learn about your business. And you're going to have to be front and center doing the selling if you are like, transparent like I am. So I've been working with Taryn for about, I think this is the 5th month. I think we got started November last year, and she's amazing. And it's called Virtual Magic if you want to look her up. So we do coaching together, and Taryn is an expert copywriter. Like she is amazing at getting to the crux of what it is that I am trying to sell in terms of the transformation for the client. So she helps me with all of that stuff. She's also very good at the jigsaw puzzle of how things fit together and the customer journey. So having somebody to bounce all that off with is absolutely amazing. And then she does a couple of hours VA stuff around the practical stuff that needs to happen as part of the package that I'm on with her. The next bit of the picture for me has been figuring out these funnels. So I've been working with a coach to work out, okay, like how do the emails funnels get set up? How does it all work? Like what feels authentic to me? And then getting in the dashboard and tweaking the funnels, right? So like there's 10 emails in a sequence that I have. It's called Meet Your First 3 Paid Subscribers on Substack. You're welcome to download it. I'll put it in the notes. And it takes people through the sequence of how to get comfortable charging on Substack and what you can charge for and how all of that stuff feels. So it's delivered via email and there's a PDF at the end. I purposefully didn't give them the PDF to start with because I wanted them to pay attention through the funnel. There's still a lot for people to wrap their heads around. And so what I found with that funnel is depending on where someone is in their journey, they might then buy from me like within that funnel, but it usually takes a bit longer for them to feel like they're ready and feel like they've had enough information about what they want to do on Substack. So I am still tethered to that funnel and I'm still tethered to like, okay, this is the funnel for beginners who want to get started with paid subscriptions on Substack. I couldn't have really hired that out. So I could have, in terms of, I could have written all of the emails in Google Docs and, paid somebody to kind of import them and do the drip feeds and all the things. But then I wouldn't have learned how to do that and hold that. So that's the missing piece, I think, when you're working out what feels good for you. The other hires that I have is an accountant and a bookkeeper. So I would be completely lost without those people because maths is not my strong suit. I love a spreadsheet, luckily for me. But in terms of like how things work and how things fit together and how it all links up with HMRC, it's just not my favorite place to spend time. And I love to hand that over. And I'm delighted to pay those invoices and just know that it's taken care of in a really detail orientated way. I'm much more of a like put something out there and perfect it as I go. And that doesn't work with accounts. Like you just have to be very precise. So for me, those are the best hires in my business. And then everything else is this kind of holistic jigsaw, stop, start, try something, see how it's working. When I worked with Cassandra on the last challenge, what I wanted was a PDF of everything that I'd delivered on Substack. And I was like, here's the format for the PDF. So that's really helpful. Like if you know what you want your formatting to be, can you lift everything from the challenge and make it evergreen? Can you edit as you go? Show me if you like, ask me if you've got any questions. And so that was really just like I'm gonna sneeze. I'll just pause. It's because my husband's cooking dinner downstairs. Well, I started it and he's finished it, so I can do this video. So for me, hiring Cassandra to put that PDF together meant that I wasn't plugging my brain into doing that on Canva, faffing around on Canva. I don't mind faffing around on Canva, but it's not my favorite. I like the conceptualization. I don't like the sort of faff afterwards if you've got to make a PDF. So paying Cassandra to do that and knowing if I sold, I think it was like if I sold 3 spots on that challenge, then that paid for our time is totally worth it for me, getting some time back. Similarly on admin, like I've just paid Beth today, who's one of my VAs, to do a bit of admin, moving people from one place to another, because when I did that myself before, Substack sometimes like spit people out and say this person can't subscribe because of X, Y, and Z. And I just found that that was quite frustrating because then I was having to stop what I was doing to then email the person to try and sort it out. And I had to get involved with Substack support. And it just wasn't very easeful for me to do that. So I've given that to a VA. So sometimes tasks just crop up. And for me, like they are still a little bit ad hoc. Ideally, I would love to have somebody that is really fast, knows the business inside out the same way that I do, very passionate about delivering in my tone of voice and helping me to understand what's missing from my ecosystem or what a customer needs in their journey. And at the moment, it's like a bit of a Frankenstein that works. It's a very beautiful Frankenstein, but it is honestly. So part of that is still my money stuff because I'm having to like go, okay, like I'll work with this person, I'll work this out, I'll do this bit myself. Oh, actually, I'm busy delivering a course that week, so I better hire that out. So it's still working a little bit like that. And so this isn't me advising you, this is just me sharing really honestly where I'm at. I also love to work with artists and freelancers. So if there's anybody who is like in need of work or like who emails me or whatever else, I always try and find a way to like do something together. I've recently hired an illustrator for a client's Substack, and that's going to be beautiful. And I'm so glad to give her the work. I hired an illustrator for my own Substack as well to kind of really lift that brand identity this year because it's beautiful. Like it's a beautiful thing to do in the world to be able to work with artists in that way. And I really love doing that. So with that stuff, obviously there's no return necessarily on that, but it is a really beautiful way to invest your money and do things that way around. I think that is about it in terms of hires and where I'm at right now. So, because Taryn at Virtual Magic unlocked so much for me in terms of how to do things, I've been able to take some tasks back into my ecosystem and put them back on my plate. So, things like the YouTube channel, where I was at a bit of a loss with it, she advised that I plugged in vidIQ, and I think I pay $20 a month for that. And that will generate quite cringeworthy, I think, titles, but they do really well on YouTube. So I've gone from sort of maybe like 3, 4 subscribers on YouTube a month to like 80 subscribers a month by using that software. I also use a software called Cast Magic, and I use that for my podcasts because it's quite intelligent AI and it can summarize. Now, because ChatGPT is so good, it would probably be more financially viable for me to just switch over to ChatGPT. That didn't exist when I started using Cast Magic. So Cast Magic was the best way to organize my podcasts and to really like draw on that transcript and find those headlines and really try and deliver an amazing piece of content for people who to try and help them to understand what was in the podcast. So it would pull out quotes, it would write me a LinkedIn post, like all that gorgeous stuff. So those AI type services can be really good at kind of being an additional kind of string to your bow in terms of something else. It's quite weird to speak about, isn't it? I'm struggling with the words, you can tell. But for me, it is like having another person. So I'm constantly asking ChatGPT. In fact, like I'll tell you what ChatGPT said to me today. I think you'll find this really interesting because I was asking it about strategic stuff. So this is what I do with ChatGPT. I ask it about strategic stuff, and it is so fast at working out the maths. So I was asking it about my mastermind pricing options for June because I'm toying with the idea of doing a month-long mastermind in June because I had such a good time delivering my 3-month mastermind at the start of the year. So like I want to do more of that work, but I'm trying to work out, okay, like how many people can I comfortably hold? How much money is going to come in? So I said, give me pricing for a mastermind month in June, including £250 worth of classes and resources. So I've already put them in the bundle so people can use those, download them before, during, or after. So I feel confident about what that is. So it's given me the standard pricing model, the tiered pricing model, the founding member or early bird. And then I've said, okay, like I'll go for the 750 price point, give me a launch strategy and early bird discounts and bonuses. And then it gives me the dates and it works it all through. Like, this is how you could do it. These are the bolt-ons that you can do. I've said, how many people should I have? And then it says intimate and high touch, 5 to 10 people. I mean, I do know this stuff. Balanced group, 10 to 20 people. Scalable model, 20 to 30 people. So 20 to 30 people is usually what I have in my group programs. For my mastermind, I wanted 15, but I had quite a bit of drop off. So just personal life stuff for folks. So it meant that the group was more intimate and I really liked it. So it's like, oh, okay, like maybe that's a more comfortable model. So it gives me some thinking space to work out, okay, like how's this all going to work? And then it gives me the revenue potential. It's talking about messaging. All of this stuff is based on stuff that I've programmed it with. So I know people can get a bit icky about AI, and I know that there's some really controversial stuff going on for writers that's really, really difficult to wrap our heads around. But as a tool, as a solopreneur and a business owner, it is absolutely incredible to unlock your own brain and your own way of doing things with ChatGPT. There's so much in there in terms of strategy and layout. So that launch plan, like I could literally print that out and annotate it. Obviously, that there's some things that I tweak because of the way that I do things, but it's not me sitting and going, okay, like if I want to launch the mastermind in June, what do I have to start doing now, today, in the first week of April? It's all there for me. So love that stuff. I think that's pretty much all I wanted to cover. I feel like there's so much in there that you could probably just pull from, in terms of where you're at. Like, we all have money stories, we all have expansion stories. We want to sort of calibrate and be in the middle and feel safe with the people that we're bringing in. I don't always feel safe with the people I hire. It's not their fault. That's just how I feel in the world. So ideally, I would have a clone of myself because I know that I am really diligent, very enthusiastic. I know that I would go over and above. I know I would be very conscious at how much I was charging and make sure that that was fair. And I think it is difficult. Like, that's a difficult skill set for people. People want to sort of click off and, scroll the internet or, charge you for their fag breaks or whatever. Not everybody, but like there is that working method that goes on in the Western world where people just can't plug in and do something really efficiently like I would, because obviously it's my business. So I'm like, okay, like let's do a Pomodoro. I'll get this done in 25 minutes. But it is also a recipe for burnout. So I've got to lean into trust and be like, okay, like it might take this person twice as long. And that's all right because they're very good at what they do. And I'm going to hold the trust in that place. So Yeah, I think there's so many lessons with it all. If you have a tendency to hyper independence, you will put off hiring like I did. If you have a tendency to any sort of wounds from childhood or any sort of like scarcity mindset or things not being enough, you'll put off hires. If you are the opposite way, where you're like everything has to be done professionally and perfectly, you'll overhire and then you won't have a business. You'll just have a really expensive hobby that's getting you into loads of debt. So it's definitely about a balance. Get a good old spreadsheet, work it out, start small, start with one project. Be like, okay, like I said with Cassandra, this one challenge, I'm going to pay her to do the PDF. I'm going to do all the admin so that I know that it works. The next time I do my challenge, I've got an engagement system lined up and that's awesome. So you can be incremental with yourself and you can be incremental with your business and you can hold those things separately. So I am a person that plugs into my business, Creatively Conscious Limited. That all gets put to bed, and then I become a mum and a partner, and everything is just taken care of as best as I can. Things are always messier than we would like to admit behind the scenes. That isn't really shown. And this is why I struggle with content creation, to be honest, because I don't know how to show it in a way that is palatable. So I'm getting there, I could do my B-roll and stuff on Instagram, but it's been very difficult for me to be able to like condense it all down and to show the way that the internet wants things. So being able to show up like this on YouTube and just like, the dinner's cooking downstairs, I had to pause to sneeze. I've just given you a big old download of everything is actually my preferred way to do this. So I hope that it is useful to you. If you have any questions, you can leave them below and I will see you on the next video.